these brick streets. See if we can get us a spot up here by the square, and I'll tell you where I think we ought to go today. Yeah, you're probably going to see that on camera and question why I just did that if I don't edit it out. That's a one-way street. But this is Tyler, Texas, and it's not very busy. So let's have a look around at Tyler, Texas. That building right there in front of us, that's the Petroleum Building. That's a pretty historic building here in town. It was built a long time ago. And I only say that because I don't have any dates for you. But let me tell you something really cool about that building. Sometime late last year, maybe mid-year, they were refurbishing that old building. It sat vacant, as far as I know, completely vacant for quite some time. I'd say several decades. My family and I happened to come down here to downtown one day and catch the doors open. They were doing fire inspections on the sprinkler systems of it. And the brief history that I know of the building, it's called the People's Petroleum Building, and basically East Texas was based on an oil and gas, mostly oil economy, 30s, 40s, 50s, even into the 60s. That was most of what brought the money to this town. That building was erected to basically control the oil that was flowing, money from the oil that was flowing out of East Texas. Had a lot of banks, you know, a lot of landmen probably were in and out of that building. People that were negotiating deals for drilling and so forth. But you know, times change, things move on. Oil and gas digging and drilling go to other places, and you know, 70s and 80s were a hard time for Tyler. I think they stayed strong, but like a lot of these East Texas towns, they struggled. However, the building has been refurbished, and the new owners are renting spaces out in it. And they have opened a fine dining restaurant downstairs. Now, the whole downstairs, gorgeous, by the way. Maybe one day we can go in there and take a look on a video. But the whole downstairs was the bank, and it is literally slathered in marble. There is not an inch of that downstairs, 2 floors, that is not covered in some kind of marble. What's really cool is the marble is so old that the stairs leading in from that front door there, um, they are worn from all the feet that have gone up and down those stairs over the many, many decades that that building was open. It's pretty incredible to see. Everything's very Art Deco in there. It's got elevators that are ornately decorated, and like I said, we'll talk about it briefly, but we'll maybe show you a video later. So that'll be an interesting one. However, it is turned into a restaurant downstairs now. They serve, very fine dining. It's a steak place. I think it's called Dakota's. Don't quote me on that yet. Back to the story that my family and I were in downtown one day. We were over down here at 1 Main Street, and we noticed the front doors were open, and I just got it in my mind that I had to go inside that building. So we walked up to the front doors and caught one of the gentlemen that was doing the fire inspection at the door, and asked him if he'd mind if we came in and took some pictures of the lobby. And he said, "No, I don't care. Just be safe." And so we kind of did our own version of urban exploring, and I really wish I'd have shot some video. I do have some still pictures that we took with our camera phones. If you look all the way up top there, not that first notch, but the second notch, there is a rooftop there that is covered in gravel, and they have some air conditioner units, I believe. But there was a window up there that actually doubles as a door. We made our way to that door while we were venturing through this building and got ourselves out on that deck. And let me tell you, the view up there is amazing. Truly amazing. You can see all of downtown Tyler. Of course, you can see well past the first loop out here, which is Loop 323, and on down into some of the suburbs and southern areas. But mostly, you can see the scope of downtown Tyler. It's a pretty amazing place, for such a small town. I think we're right at 100,000 people here, so nothing too large. However, we went into the basement of that building, and it's got a big giant boiler room. Of course, the whole building was heated with radiators and boilers. Like I said, it's a very old building. Elevators were not operable. We climbed stairs in that thing, and thank goodness it was not a hot day like today, because it would have been sweltering. A lot of the offices that we saw on multiple floors were being redone, and they were very, let's just say, vintage, stuck in time. Hard to explain. Have to show you pictures. But anyway, we ventured all the way as far as we could get to the top without going all the way to the flagpoles. And then we made our way back down. And then while we were down in the lobby, we found in this little courtyard there is a glass case. And inside that glass case, they had artifacts they had found in the building that had been left, probably from when it was originally built. They had the original floor plans from the gentleman that designed and built the building. They had old typewriters. They had, just interesting articles that I guess had gotten left in the basements and the corners and closets of this building over the many, many decades that it was in use. It's an interesting building. If you're ever in Tyler, you should check it out. I will note that at night, the top of the building has lights on it that light up, and they often, during Christmas, they will be red and green. 4th of July, they do red and blue and white, and they, this is not a big city, but it does quite a little light show, and it can be seen, for miles outside the city. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I was thinking that today on our ride, we might take a little short jaunt down to Jacksonville, Texas. That is just south of here. On some of these bike trips that I'll be taking, or we, as in me and my family, you're going to get to see a lot of these Texas roads, and they're totally worth watching the videos and enjoying if you're not from this area. Hope it spurs some of you to maybe get out and ride. Even if you're in a car. You know, if you don't have a motorcycle, that's okay. Some people don't. I'm fortunate to have one, and I love riding these roads out here. There's some great county roads, nice and smooth, twisty, full of trees, wildlife. It's just, it's something interesting. Anyway, let's fire it up and let's take off and head down south. No more one-way streets, I promise. In front of me there, you're going to see the old Tyler Theater. Now, that is no longer open, but they are completely rebuilding that building as well. Straight ahead again is the Liberty. We'll talk about that when it gets a little quieter. Stopped in there for a couple of cappuccinos. Out late at night, driving the city streets of Tyler. It's a little cooler at night out here. When the daytime's out, I like to get out in the country roads because it's a little cooler. You got a lot more shade, a lot less concrete. But I wanted to start today's video here in town because this is kind of where it all starts for me. Home base. I actually live about 15, maybe 20 minutes outside of town on the lake, but it's not always good to start from your home. Sometimes you want to start your trip somewhere else, so that's what we're doing today. There's so much history in this town. It really has been a thriving community out here in East Texas for a very long time, and you know, watching some of these towns since I've grown up in Texas most of my life, watching some of these towns come and go, it's kind of amazing to see Tyler has stayed so strong. Now I guess I could go ahead and throw Longview in the mix here. Most of you that know anything about Texas, you hear the two names combined a lot, and I think the reasoning behind that is Tyler and Longview are only about 45 minutes, maybe an hour away from each other, but both of them have about the same amount of people living in it, and the businesses are both thriving in both areas. You can basically make a home and a living out here with your family at either town, and it's kind of the hub between Dallas and Shreveport. Now, Shreveport's going to be Louisiana, and I'm not a big fan of Louisiana. I'm not going to bad talk any states. I'm not going to say Texas is better. I will let you know that I am a little biased with Texas because it is my home state. I do believe it offers anything and everything you would want. You want to see hills and mountains, they're here. You want to, well, I say mountains, fairly good sized lumps of dirt. If you want to see prairies, they're here. If you want to see the desert, it's here. You want to go to the coast and swim on a beach, it's here. However, today we're gonna venture around what is known as the East Texas Piney Woods, and you will probably see a lot of that on my videos because once again that is my home base. It would be some of the longer rides that I'll probably take that you'll get to experience other parts of Texas. I mentioned that we're headed to Jacksonville this morning, and Jacksonville is, let's say, 20-30 minutes south of Tyler. It was also a hustling, bustling little place, much like Kilgore, which is out to our east. And these were all, many, many, many years ago when, like I said, oil and gas was the driving economy out here. Things have changed. There's still quite a bit of oil and gas activity out here. But one thing that has hurt Jacksonville is they relied real heavily on the manufacturing of oil and gas. It was a very blue-collar town, and they didn't focus a lot on strengthening the white-collar jobs and maybe high-tech type stuff. They just, they didn't have the workforce for it, and they didn't embrace it as much, I guess. One thing about Tyler is we have UT Tyler here and TJC, which is the local community college. Now, that's helpful because the workforce that comes out of those two colleges really helps drive the economy here. We do have Stephen F. Austin down to the south of us in Nacogdoches. That also feeds back into this community because a lot of the students that go there live in these communities: Tyler, Longview, Marshall. Anyway, to Jacksonville, and see if we can't check out one of the local attractions here that's been popular for quite a while. I'll keep you in suspense. I'll show you when we get there. try not to get killed out here on this highway. It's a very busy highway. Heavily traveled. Oh yeah, we get a good view of it here. Check that out. As I said, that's the only remaining fire tower I know in this area. There used to be a series of them, of course, because one thing we didn't talk about earlier is, besides oil and gas, the timber industry has also driven the economy in this area for a very, very long time. I was told by someone that East Texas averages, depending on where you live, about 55 to 60 inches of rain a year. There's parts of Texas that don't see that in 10 years, 20 years maybe. But one good thing about it, here, let's pull off here for a second. One good thing about that rainfall is the trees grow fast. And everybody knows pine trees are softwood and they grow fast. So you have tons and tons of timber out here being cut for building and construction and so forth. Look out there ahead of us. This is what they call Lookout Mountain. I don't know that you would call it a mountain. I've been to the Rockies. There is no mountains in East Texas. But this is one of the highest points around. I have no idea what the elevation is. Let's don't even guess. However, it is a beautiful spot, and I'll move you down the way here shortly. And there's an observation point, but I thought I'd stop here in the shade for a second. This little valley here, and the reason why I stopped at this point is you can really see the depth of it, and there has been a proposal to put a lake in the bottom of this valley, and it would feed Jacksonville, which is back here to the south. We are looking out east right now, and what they would like to do with that lake is connect to it and sell water to Dallas. Dallas has a water crisis, much like many of the cities in the U.S. Water is very important to our livelihood and our well-being, so we have a shortage of it. Now, granted, I just told you that East Texas gets about 50 or 60 inches of rain a year, so we can keep our lakes filled, and we were really lucky with that. Anyway, they'd like to make a connecting pipe from here to one of the lakes west of here and start pumping water out of it. Now, this is a long-term project. They haven't even started it. I think they've had some lawsuits over it. People don't want to give up their land, of course. I mean, look at that. It's gorgeous down there. I mean, how could you want to give that up? Anyway, this is the main stopping point that I wanted to show you today. I remember many years ago when I was a child making trips down here to visit family, and we would come out here to this spot, and I was always amazed by it. I mainly grew up in north central Texas, kind of down anywhere from Dallas towards Waco, in that kind of area, and it was very flat, full of pastures, not a lot of trees, definitely not the big pine trees that you see here. And so it was always a treat to come out here, and it was kind of like a short little drive from that area to here to get a taste of kind of a mountainous, wilder region, I guess. At least it felt that way to me. Anyway, I'm going to take you over to the main lookout and see if I can get some video on my phone and show you what it looks like from over there. Alright. Oh, there it is. That's the big view. Step over here and check this out. It's a little bit more this way. There's a huge tree in the way, but basically this is what they call Love's Lookout. And this was owned by a gentleman named John Wesley Love back in the 1800s. And he owned about 120 some odd acres down here in this valley. And when he died, he donated the land up here to the Parks Department. And they developed this building here behind me, which is gorgeous, by the way. Completely redone since I used to come here in the, well, let's just say 70s, 80s, 90s. The view from here is, on a clear day, it's a little overcast today, but the view from here is supposedly around 30-35 miles. It's pretty impressive. Probably the most impressive thing around this area, nature-wise. There's some more interesting things, you know. We'll probably go visit those too. However, like I said, they're still talking about putting a lake down there in that valley, and although it would be gorgeous, it would definitely change things considerably. What runs through that valley is the Neches River, which is fed from Lake Palestine to the north. And that Neches River used to have Indians living on it, and they lived on not only these ridges like I'm on here, but also the bluffs back to the north on the lake. And you know, it's very fertile land, great place to live. So they established quite a long-standing history here. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. It's beautiful, isn't it? Well, it's about 95 degrees and 120% humidity, so I'm gonna get out of here as quick as I can. I'm sweltering. All right, take care.